So, in the wake of all that's happened with AD, we're going to discuss shadows. We're going to discuss online dating. We're going to discuss UFOs, and we're going to discuss ghosts. I've got something really quite embarrassing to confess, and that is I haven't taken my Christmas tree down yet. And you see, I just can't bear to take it down. It twinkles, and then I light my candles, and everything looks so beautiful. So I'm not ready to take my tree down. And one day I'm going to talk about my desire to leave the UK and relocate to another country, but not in this episode. Um, so, right, this is where I'm going to start. I actually believe in UFOs, unidentified foreign objects. I also believe in ghosts because when I was a kid, I saw one walking out of the wall in our apartment in Jamaica. And you're all going to think that I'm crazy. I know, because, people would say ghosts don't exist, UFOs don't exist. I do believe in unidentified foreign objects, and I do believe in ghosts. And the people who thought I was intelligent are going to sit there saying to themselves that I'm not intelligent, that I'm crazy, and I understand that. But sometimes it's good to be a bit crazy. Beyonce's song Crazy in Love, that was a big, huge #1 hit. So, it's okay to be crazy in something from time to time. So anyway, I was sitting on my bed the other night and putting some lotion on my legs. And I heard this siren sound. And it's a weird kind of sound. And I knew it was a UFO, right? And then the first time I heard it, I wasn't really bothered. But the second time I heard it, I thought, I wonder if they're going to come and take me. But it didn't happen. And you're all going to think I'm crazy, I know. And I'll tell you about the ghost thing. Do you know that about 18% of Americans have actually said or confessed to actually seeing a ghost themselves? So I'm not the only one who's claimed to have seen ghosts. And when I tell my mum this story, she says it's a fiction of your imagination. It was a shadow or a reflection of a shadow coming from somebody that was walking, but it was a ghost. The ghost walked out of the wall, walked up to me and smiled, and then it went back into the wall. So it's very possible that they actually do live in walls and they're kind of trapped. So that's what happened to me when I was young. I was probably about 3 in Jamaica, in our apartment, beautiful apartment that was facing a fountain. And one evening I was sitting there and this ghost came out of the wall, walked up to me, smiled. I was really scared. Walked up to me and smiled, and then walked back into the wall. My grandmother also, when she came over here, she told us that she'd seen a ghost in her kitchen. And my mum didn't believe that either. But, we can't both be making up stories about ghosts. So, there are a lot in Jamaica. Some will eat and drink with you, then behind them susupar you. Who the cap fit, let them wear it. So in honor of Bob Marley, seeing as I've mentioned Jamaica, Bob Marley used to live around the corner from my grandparents. Now, he passed before I was born, so I never met him, but he was somebody that you would see walking up and down on the street. And he wasn't, back in those days and in the 70s and stuff like that, he wasn't as famous in Jamaica as he was in parts of Europe and Africa. Believe it or not, it wasn't until he passed that he was honored in Jamaica. And I know that people are not going to understand that, but he was actually bigger in Europe. Bob Marley was bigger in Europe than he was in Jamaica. And that's where his market is, or was. It was in Europe. And he actually lived here in England, in London. I think he had an apartment in Chelsea. He lived here for a while. And he had plenty woman. He had like enough gal. Do you know what I mean? He had a wife, and then he had girlfriends, and he was dating Cindy Breakspear, who I have met. She was Miss World Jamaica, I think back in the 70s. And she's the mother of Junior Gong Marley, who was a musician himself. Bob Marley had many children with many different women, and a lot of them are musicians. Ziggy Marley is one of them, and Damien Junior Gong Marley is another. So he lived here for a while. And because of what was going on in Jamaica and the political environment, he lived in England for a while. He played football. In his spare time, he wrote music. He wrote one of his albums here, one of his most famous albums here. And to date, and this is also in honor of a movie that's coming out on Bob Marley, or I don't know if it's actually released yet. I'll get round to watching it. To date, Bob Marley is the biggest selling reggae artist of all time, and he's the biggest selling artist from the Caribbean. So an amazing achievement. But he wasn't a famous person in Jamaica like how he's considered now. He'd be walking down the road and he would be, doing his thing, and no one would look at him and say, "Oh, that's Bob Marley." No. He was living in Trenchtown, which is a place that I wouldn't advise anyone to go if they decide to go to Jamaica. I've been to the Bob Marley Museum, but he was living in Trenchtown for a time, and that's where a lot of the early reggae music started. And that reggae music evolved and changed into a style of music called dancehall. And then dancehall has become reggaeton, which is the popular Spanish reggae version. And some people say they don't have anything to do with each other, but they do. Anyway, that's just a little thing that I wanted to say. One love, bless. Right, what am I on to now? Right. So AD. I think the aftermath of what happened is finally starting to weigh on AD's shoulders. I think he's finally starting to realize that his gig, is it gig or jig? One of them. His gig is up. His jig is up. And he doesn't have the masses. He doesn't have the mass audience that he had when he was on YouTube. I think his channel was approaching to 70,000 subscribers. He doesn't have that audience anymore. And, he went to Rumble and he tried to pretend that he was happy to be on Rumble. And he tried to pretend and, with all this false bravado, that Rumble was better than, another platform. And, I think it's starting to resonate with him that Rumble is not going to be a replacement. And TikTok is a platform where the videos are very short. So even if you get thousands and thousands of views on your TikTok videos, you're not going to make a lot of money. There has to be something else to that. He's still got his Patreon, I would imagine. But, it's really starting to sink in that he's kind of fallen from grace, and that he's got to find ways of making money. And this is what AD has been all about from day one. Oh, yeah, I want to say a little something about online dating, because like I said, Chris and Shanann, they met online and they met on Facebook. Chris sent Shanann a Facebook request and it all started from there. And, we have had other online couplings, so to speak, in the community, like Lycan and Amber and Lycan and Tiffany. From what I've been hearing about Lycan, and I've been hearing a lot about Lycan through the airwaves, so to speak, Lycan is playing you all. He's been playing people. That's what I think. And after he met Tiffany and they started their little thing, he came online and he was very he said had nothing good to say about her, including to me, because he spoke to me about her as well. And he's had so many different channels that I can't keep up, but he's left a few comments on my channel about Tiffany and, saying Tiffany wasn't a very good person. And then he got with Amber for a while, and then, she barely made it to the airport before he was over and finished with her. And apparently telling Tiffany that he still loved her. And it's just, I think that things should be kept private when it comes to certain things. Without giving too much information. Actually, I'm not going to go there. But anyway, I think things should be kept private. And I think people have to be really certain about someone before going online and talking about their relationship with them, particularly when it comes to people that you meet online, because especially on YouTube, a lot of people are just playing games, and you have to be on your guard and you have to be one step ahead. That's just my opinion. Right. Anyway, we're going to take a look at the video, a still of the video that AD claims changed the whole case. According to AD, what you can see here is NK and Chris and the two kids. Now, as far as I'm concerned, how anyone could have been sold on the idea that you can discern anything from this footage is beyond me. You know, he really is good at taking something and embellishing it, because there is nothing discernible from this still image. And even when you watch the full video, you know, the moving images, there's nothing whatsoever that you can discern. So he sold a lot of people on this idea that, you know, that this is a clear video and that you can obviously see Nicole Kessinger picking up one of the kids. And it's just, you know, this wouldn't even stand up in a courtroom because you can't see anything. It's not discernible. You can see moving images, but it's not discernible who the people are in the images, apart from maybe Chris. So, you know, this is the footage that AD claims changed the case. And he never changed the case. He hasn't changed the case. What he did is he embellished the case and twisted it to suit his own narrative. And he was able to make a lot of people believe his side of the story. And that's all that happened. That is all that happened. I was going to say something else and I've lost my train of thought. Oh, I made an error there. And I just remembered it. Rihanna is now the biggest selling artist from the Caribbean. Can you believe that Rihanna has sold more records than Beyonce? And she's now in the top 10 selling artists of all time? Rihanna. Under my umbrella. She is one of the top 10 selling artists of all time, with Michael Jackson, Madonna, the Beatles, Elton John, Queen. Can you believe that? Anyway, I believe, and this is me talking about my last podcast on Cindy Watts, I believe that Dave is coming to my channel, but I also believe he may be coming to my channel under Alts. And I believe that he's responded to Caroline's comments under Alts and to me as well. I haven't approved those comments, but I believe that Dave has other accounts, and I think that he sometimes visits channels under Alts. That's just, that's just my opinion. So a lot of people are coming, well, not a lot, but some people have come to my channel and they want to reopen discussion on what I think of Frankie's case again and all of that. And I guess I can't completely avoid it when I'm talking about AD. And I have said this, and I will repeat myself. I don't care about Frankie's case anymore. Now that AD, now his big channel, at least, the 70,000 channel that he had, now that that's off, don't care, and won't be donating. Do I want AD to win? Absolutely not. No, of course not. That's no dig at AD. I've had very pleasant communication with AD. AD's been quite nice to me, I've got to say. So, you know, I don't have any ill will towards AD. I just don't want him online talking the way he does about cases. So, you know, I wish AD well, but I think he needs to do something honorable for once in his life, and should never have depended on the Watts case or Nicole Kessinger. And some people are saying, ha ha ha, you've been proven wrong. There's a court case. Look, what I had said was, I don't believe Frankie and AD. This was the main point of the main meat of what I said. I said, I don't believe Frankie and AD will ever come face to face in a courtroom. If I'm proven wrong down the line, so be it. And, you know, if there is a judgment awarded to Frankie, I don't believe that AD is going to pay it. That's just my personal opinion. And that's what I meant, you know, by no court case. I meant that they would never meet in a courtroom, and that even if there was a judgment, for me, a proper court case, and this is what it was built up to be, a proper court case would have been Frankie and AD meeting in a courtroom over a week or two period, and then a judgment made that AD would have to pay. And I don't see that happening. So that's what I mean when I say, you know, I don't believe there's going to be an actual court case. There's going to be something happening, I suppose, but, you know, at the end of the day, to raise all that money and then to have a judgment for him not to pay, I just think it's a waste of time. I think the best thing that could ever happen that it was that he was taken down, and that's what happened. But I wish AD well. I wish Frankie well, and maybe me and Frankie can make up one day. Who knows? Maybe not. You know, I know that I upset Frankie by speaking to certain people and doing certain things, and I apologize for that. But you know, Frankie's not an angel himself, and I've called him out on what I think. But you know, maybe Frankie and I can make up one day. That would be nice. I don't see it happening right now, but you know, who knows? I wish him well, and I've got love for him.